feeling?
A little better. Yeah, a little better.
Have you done anything football-y as far as anything that would simulate Sunday? And
I went down and tossed some balls around. Trying to get out and practice tomorrow.
How you felt coming off the field there in the fourth quarter of Sunday night? Are you at all surprised to be feeling as good as you are now? Is it a kind of a positive surprise, or did you know at the time it wasn't going to be that serious?
No, it's definitely more of a positive surprise, I would say. I've done a lot of rehab the last few days, and got some stuff I do at the house as well, and always on my herbs and my teas and all the other things that help me feel better. So, not surprised I'm feeling better. I'm just happy to avoid a major injury.
You don't have broken ribs then, or you?
I'm not getting into specifics on.
Okay. Well, I know like Justin
injuries.
Herbert had that rib cartilage thing. Is that at all similar to?
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
How concerned were you just coming off the field?
I was concerned about the major internal organ stuff that you can get with some of those shots. I think Chauncey had one of those, right? So that's what was the main concern, based on the pain I was experiencing. But like I said, I'm happy to avoid any of those internal organ issues.
Aaron, as much as you love playing the Bears and playing at Soldier Field, is the lure of that game at all recuperative or motivating to overcome an injury?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was back in 2013 and still is today in 2022.
It wouldn't be unheard of for a player in your position with multiple injuries on a team in y'all's situation to maybe decide not to play. What keeps you going through all these injuries, and why keep going through this?
Pride, for one, love of the game. They're paying me to play. A lot of different issues, but I love to compete and want to be out there with my guys.
It's your first time back since you had that little confrontation in the south end zone, and some of the women and their gestures. I mean, is that another thing?
And men too.
And men too.
Let's not blame everything on the women, okay?
So you probably want to
start with the Bible, all right?
Probably want to put another chapter in that in playing at Soldier Field.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the rivalry over the years and been a part of a ton of these games. I think I've been in 18 years plus a playoff game. This is the 37th I'll be a part of, and I've enjoyed all of them. It's a great rivalry, been around for a long, long time. Happy to be on this side of it, but a lot of good memories at Soldier Field.
You told Pat yesterday that what has happened with Christian is a good example of what one play can do for you in your career. It's not like he runs any faster now or he's taller, but he seems like a different player. What's the things you've noticed before that touchdown in Dallas or against Dallas and now?
I mean, like I said, there was nothing that happened in practice that clicked. It was just confidence. Confident player can raise the level of their game sometimes astronomically, and I think you've seen that with Christian. He's playing with a lot of confidence, and it's transferred over to his practice habits too. He's catching everything. He's been very consistent. He's kind of carrying himself a little bit different, and it's fun to see. I think we all have different moments that did that for us, and for him, it seemed to be that over-the-shoulder catch.
What does it do to get Romeo back possibly, and just before he was injured, where do you think he is in terms of his progression this season?
Well, the injury definitely hurt him, because much like Christian, I see him and any young player as the possibility to be an ascending player as the season goes on. So it definitely hurt him a little bit the time off, but I'm not sure if they're going to throw him back out there for 40 or 50 plays. I don't know if that's necessary or needed or best for him. But any plays we get with 87 back on the field is going to be good for us.
What have been some of your favorite moments at games down there? Where does last season's rank up there?
I mean, it's not even the top 5, I don't think. There's been a lot of great moments. Obviously, we won the NFC Championship there. 2013 always is going to rank really high with John making that cut. And just the whole process of getting back on the field that week and how much it meant to me to be out there and to be out there with Randall coming back from an injury and hit him for 2 touchdowns in that game and to win the game and know we were going on to the playoffs is really special. But there's been a lot of great moments. 2016 on the run we were on, up 27-10, they come back and tie the game, and we hit a 3rd and 11 plus to Jordy to get some field goal range to ice that game. A lot of great moments.
Aaron, with regard to the last year's game, do you just assume Bears fans haven't forgotten that I Own You episode, and then you expect a response? You expect to hear it from from fans, even more so now?
I've been hearing from fans for 15 years down there, so I don't expect anything to be different. I have a lot of respect for the city of Chicago and the sports fans. I grew up, said it many times, watching, WGN was one of the few channels we had on our TV, so I grew up watching Cubs games and Bulls games, and so I've been a fan of Chicago sports for a while. I have a lot of respect for the city and the legacy of excellence that the team and the region has. But I always enjoy playing against the Bears.
Back to Romeo and Christian. You haven't had them on together very much.
Yeah.
What do you think of what they can give you guys the next 4 or 5 games? And also 2023, 2024, you've had some great receiver corps. Could those guys maybe be the headliners of that next wave?
Well, again, I think this is going back to training camp. We need to be careful putting certain expectations on guys. I think the possibility is there, for sure. But they're going to have to grow between years 1 and 2. The rookie year is such a long year. You go right from the end of your college season to training for the combine or training for your pro day, kind of right into off-season training with your new team, and then a long, long season. And then, the first off-season is like the first time you get to breathe and to take some time and reset and kind of figure out how you want to go about your life as a professional now. You get to make your own schedule and travel if you want to and set up your own workout spot and all these new decisions that come into play. And the guys who make the jump are able to handle that off-season time and that bit about being a professional. And those guys have an opportunity to be really good players in this league.
Aaron, the first time you played the Bears, there was no Khalil Mack, no Trevathan, no Hicks. Now there's no Quinn, there's no Roquan, no Eddie Jackson. As much as you love those interpersonal kind of one-on-one rivalries, what do you do now?
To play against the guys they got lining up. Played against a lot of great players over the years in Chicago, and not sad to see a lot of those guys go, for sure. Starting with Urlacher and Briggs and Peanut and all those guys that they had for so many years. Julius, nice to get him back over on the good side. But I've enjoyed the battles over the years. It's been a special rivalry, one you look forward to all the time. When the season comes out, you always look at the bye week and then when we're playing in Chicago, because weather could be a factor, and it's a special place to play, much like our place.
Can you develop a rivalry with Jack Sanborn in one game?
No, I don't think so.
But do you know much about the Bears? What do you know about this Bears defense and
well, they're young.
Kind of what
they're young.
doing.
They're young. They're playing young players. That gives you an opportunity to see what you have for the future. We've played against young players, young great players over the years who've ascended into special guys, much like Roquan did, where he became one of the top backers in the league. Obviously they're playing more young guys with the release of that, but they still have a lot of good talented players, and I think 33 is one of the top corners in the league. Got a couple of young guys in secondary who've been battling injuries, but when they've been playing, they've seemed to be playing a lot better. 99 is a real solid end rush guy off the edge. So it's a talented group. They're simplifying things probably for them, but still professionals.
Aaron, you said yesterday on Pat that you felt sort of like an older brother watching Jordan on Sunday. What can that kind of performance in spot duty, in a tough spot like that, coming in the game when you're down, what can it do for confidence of a player like that?
Yeah, that's the most important thing is the confidence. Once you go out and do it, changes your mindset, because you got something to draw back on now that you've done it. Much like for me against Dallas back in 07, I always drew back on that experience. Coming in the game against a really good opponent and playing the way I wanted to play allows you to take some of that pressure off next time you're out there in that situation. So he played last year against Kansas City, didn't play as well as he wanted to, but went out there the other night in short time and played really well.
Speaking of Jordan.
You're next.
Okay.
Tim's going to be with the Bears. Whether it's him, whether it's Tolzien or Flynn or Huntley, you've been a really good mentor to those guys. Has it been different with Jordan? I mean, through no fault of his own, you didn't really want him here, and I know you said that when he first got here. How have you treated him, and how has your relationship maybe been different than some of those other guys that you mentored? Or has it been exactly the same?
I don't think it's been that different. I really don't. I've tried to approach any backup over the years with the same amount of time and attention and intention and respect. Those guys know I care about them because I'm always coaching them up. I'm always that other voice in the room, helping them with certain things, footwork, and and reads and mindset and little memory devices that I've learned over the years. And always tell them too, every mistake that you've made or going to make, I've made, and then some. So the most important thing is keep that confidence. Be that energy spark, be that guy that brings enthusiasm to work every single day, and then make that scout team your own. I think that's the jump. Has not just been Tom coming in and Jordan, third year in the system, feeling more comfortable. It's been the way he's practiced. I think he's practiced a lot better on that work team and worked on throws and worked on movement throws and arm angles and different things that he's going to need to rely on when he's the guy. So as far as like our relationship, we've been good friends since he got here, and I enjoy working with him. I enjoy competing against him at practice, and he's got a real good disposition, and it was fun to watch him the other night.
Hey, Aaron.
Yep.
Back. So Christian and Romeo, before them, there hadn't been much of a history of involving rookies in this offense in your time here. I think there were only 3 who went over 25 catches in the season before them. So I'm wondering, it's kind of a chicken or the egg question. Is it because the organization doesn't draft receivers typically very high and they're not ready? Is it because the offense is so complicated and their standards are high? Or as I was just talking to Randall Cobb, and he said there really hasn't been a situation previously in your time here where you've needed to rely on rookie receivers so much. How would you kind of characterize why that learning curve is so hard or
the NFL is difficult to jump in. There's very few Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones who step in the league and become a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, who come in and are instant stars in the league. It's a different type of game. And our offense is intricate, but not maybe more than any other offenses. We have a standard of accountability that I wouldn't think is much higher than anybody else's. I would say it's more what Cobby said. We haven't had guys come in that need to play right away. I mean, you think about James Jones, came in and was a third or a fourth. Greg Jennings was a third. Jordy was a 3 or a 4. Cobby was a 4 or a 5. Devontae was a 3 or a 4 when he came in. We haven't needed these guys to be big-time playmakers in the first year because we always had, kind of a solidified 1 and 2 in place. This year was obviously different, these guys coming in. Christian, like I said yesterday, the way he's played lately wasn't the way he was playing early in the season. Kudos to him, not losing his confidence and kind of pushing through that rookie wall that comes up. But that's the situation we're in this year. We need guys to come in and contribute kind of more than we have in the past.
Have you tried throwing yet? Herbert kind of struggled his first couple games back when he got hurt.
Yeah, I was tossing the ball around today. I felt pretty good. Did a bunch of work in the pool with Nate, and I'm definitely progressing and feeling better than I thought I was going to feel on Wednesday, which gives me the hope I can go out and practice tomorrow and see how I feel. But definitely encouraged by the last couple of days.
Do you have to wear anything? I mean, Jordy wore something way back. Was Atlanta maybe? Was it?
Yeah. I mean, I probably will to protect it a little bit more. I haven't worn rib pads since college. Not sure I want to start now, but I'll probably definitely have something covering it up.
Is it at all important for you to practice this week, or do you feel like you can just come out Sunday and be okay?
Oh, I think I could definitely come out Sunday and be fine. Done in the past, but I'd like to test it either tomorrow or Friday, see where I'm at, and just get out and get a little sweat going. The way I'm feeling, the way I've progressed from Monday to Tuesday and Tuesday to today, makes me confident that I can go out and practice tomorrow and not really be limited. There'll be some pain for sure, but nothing that I can't deal with. So I'm really encouraged by how I'm feeling.
Aaron, you said at the podium Sunday night that there was really no doubt that you wanted to be back this week and to play. How much does that mindset, and going into this week with that mindset, help you kind of on the road to recovery and know that this is your goal to play next Sunday?
It's always the goal to play. I think that never changes, but it's just, I think if you have a positive attitude with the rehab and with where you're feeling, you're probably going to be in a better place mentally than, feeling sorry for yourself or, just lazing around and not doing anything for it. With the rehab I've been doing, it's kind of nonstop. I'm stretching, I'm doing different modalities at home and making sure that when I'm in here, I was in here early this morning doing rehab. I was doing rehab before practice. So, I want to be out there.
The season thus far, Sunday night, you're down by 13. And what's going through your mind about what? And on that game, you're able to tie it up.
You took the lead.
Yeah. Have you been able to, have you seen progress in this team fighting back through those quarters that maybe it wouldn't have happened earlier this season?
I mean, maybe. I always think in those situations there's a lot of time left, a lot of ball left. Obviously, maybe the urgency goes up a tad, but we were able to put together a good drive and score, and then after Key had a nice return, and then 4th and 1 stop, and next thing you know, it's 14-13. So it's a whole different ball game. So a good reminder for us. There's been certain games where we've only had 3 possessions in the first half, and I think we had 3 or 4 possessions in the first quarter. So we knew that game was kind of going to be like that, even though they ran the ball a bunch and ate some clock. We're going to have opportunities to go down and score. I felt, we felt good offensively. Just the conversation in the huddle during the TV timeouts that, they hadn't really stopped us. We'd only stopped ourselves with a couple of silly plays by me. We felt really confident, and I think that was good growth for us, but shoot, it doesn't really matter if you're not winning.
You say you want to be out there. Do you foresee a point at any point this season where the team says we want to see a little more of Jordan Love, that you'd be okay with stepping aside for a couple weeks or whatever it would be? Or do you want to finish the season
I mean, look, I'd love to finish the season out, but I understand, this is a business, and there's a lot of us kind of older guys who, play a decent amount, who they might want to see some younger guys play. So, hopefully we don't have to have that conversation. But if that conversation comes up, I'll approach that with an open mind and without any bitterness or resentment. Obviously, like I said, I want to win out, and we don't have to have those conversations. But, I understand if we don't, that's a possibility to have that conversation.
Could it be beneficial for you to just get some rest and get ready to reload next season? You've been beat up with the thumb, the ribs, whatever else you're feeling. Would that be beneficial for you?
I mean, well, that's an assumption that this place won't look any different next year. So I think, again, that's part of the conversation.
Time for 2 more.
Aaron, you've talked a lot about competitive greatness this year. You talked about it yesterday. That's from the wooden pyramid, right?
I mean, if I'm plagiarizing, then I apologize to Mr. John.
He's
But I used to have the pyramid on my wall back when I was a kid. Yeah, but I wasn't intentionally doing that.
Okay.
But it's a good person to quote.
Yeah,
I think.
very good. Yeah. So it made me wonder, though, how have you done with the other 2 things that are right above that?
So I don't know. I haven't seen a pyramid in a while.
Their faith and their patience.
Mm.
And I thought that might be indicative of kind of some of the challenges of this season.
Yeah, there's definitely been, been a lot of patience, I think, needed to be exercised at various times. But that's the NFL. I mean, there's always ups and downs and frustrations and excitement, and you have to have patience, especially with a young team. It's not always going to look exactly the way you want it to. Faith, I mean, I think John was probably referring to his own kind of personal religious faith for the most part. Him and I maybe don't practice the same faith, but if you adjust the word and use a synonym, belief, I think that's a very important characteristic to have as a leader, because if you lose that belief or that hope at any time, you're going to lose the locker room. And I think it's anybody who's in a position to speak for the team, to represent the team, to be up in front of the room or up in front of the guys, you got to exhibit that belief at all times. And even if maybe you don't wholeheartedly believe it in that specific moment, you can't ever let them know that. And you always have to lean on that hope that things are going to get better. And that's why that belief and that patience usually goes hand in hand.
How can you tell if guys are buying into that belief, and at this point you think locker room is still there?
Yeah, I mean, it's what they say and what they do. I think both are important. The listening to the language is always interesting. How guys are talking about certain things. I'm not really talking about on-camera interviews. I'm just talking about the conversation in the locker room, practice, on the bus. At the various get-togethers we have. What kind of conversations are we having? And then, what they're doing out there. What are the practice habits like? What's the preparation like? Is that still staying the same? If it is, and you feel like people are still bought in. I've been a part of a few bad teams over the years, and things kind of become independent contractors, and guys kind of punch a time card and get out. And I haven't felt that way this year.
Is patience?
Last one.
Yeah, sorry, Tom. Is patience easier through age and wisdom, or is it harder because of where you're at in your career?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it's kind of both. I think the years give you the wisdom to kind of slow down a little bit. Also, the urgency you want to win, and you realize the opportunities are coming less and less. So it's a combination of both. But I think in general, the wisdom of the years is to use that patience and to continue to try and be the same each week, each day, and kind of show these guys how to deal with adversity the right way.